Hello.
Hello. See, today's track is provided by The Legend of Renegade. We're crediting him now because his music is fantastic. I discovered this guy while looking around for stuff to play during Rage Across Russia because I told you I'm using that sound chip for that game. And I found this. This guy's entire channel is filled with these kind of remixes. We're doing Rage Across Egypt today. Egypt today. Can you tell I've been drinking already?
A little bit. Just a little bit.
This book has driven me to it because this is the most useless, waste of time book in all of World Darkness. You think to yourself, well, how did White Wolf go out of business? It's because you made books that were completely pointless, right? Like Rage Across Egypt. I really, really wanted to get into this book, and then I read it, and I came to the conclusion, we've already read this. We've already read this multiple times. We read this with Setites 1st and 2nd edition. We read this with Sunstriders 1st and 2nd edition. We read this with the Puka. We read this with some of... with the Asamites book, and there's just nothing new in Rage Across Egypt. This is all information that we had from all these other books already. So if you have seen our Setite episode, if you have seen our Asamite episode, if you've seen our Sunstrider episode, you might as well stop watching because we're just reiterating the information again.
And hear me out. Stay.
Yes.
And just listen.
I will
stay and waste
though,
the next 2, maybe 3 hours of your life. Like, go make dinner while you're listening to this video or something.
Go work.
I will say
Yeah,
the characters and the situations that they're posed in this book are actually fairly interesting. At least that's what I was in charge of.
I gotta hand this out because Rage Across Egypt wins the award for worst artwork in the World Darkness.
I don't know. This title page looks kind of fucking tight.
That cover's fine, but then you get to the first banner image. I think we can show this. I think we can show it. I think we can.
I just know that there's a character in this book that I want to talk about, but I can't show because her tits are out.
Now that you say that, I can't show the first picture in this, so I can show the second image in it.
Hey, it's past 30 seconds, and it's going to be mature.
See, because I want to know, like, what the fuck is going on with this character's face. Okay, so here we go. This is what I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah, this doesn't look great. I'll freely admit that.
That face is giving me... He's got the whale eye, but like the other eye, like, where does the whale eye begin and end? You went super detailed on the background. You did not put any detail on the character face because I can't tell what the fuck I'm looking at. It's like this. You combine a jackal with a horse.
Yeah,
the face
it looks
like.
kind of freaky, actually.
Like, I'm sorry if I'm shitting on you or anything, but dog, I wish somebody in the editing stuff like said something to you before you printed this.
Yeah, I probably didn't have time.
Yeah,
they were probably talking to somebody else about another book they were writing at the same time, and then didn't talk to them.
Because White Wolf is just in a printing frenzy. We gotta get all of these books out. We gotta spend all this money as quickly as possible.
Okay, so we have all this money, and we're gonna spend it.
We got all this money, we're gonna spend it, and then not make any of it back because we're gonna go all in on Wraith the Oblivion, and that's gonna be this massive money hole that ultimately takes the company. It sucks too because Wraith is that game that would be fantastic if you turn it into a book series or a movie. Or TV series. That's something that needs to happen. You have video games of Wraith, and they're fine, but it's like tabletop game. That game is just impossible to play. You need to know your table. You need to know each other as people before you play Wraith, because that game gets super personal super quickly. But yeah, that's where we are with Rage Across Egypt. I'm so happy we have this book that's got nothing new in it. You ready to talk about history? Because how many times have we talked about Set on this channel?
Too many.
At least 4 times.
Yeah, so you're going to hear about Set again. We have to talk about the ancient history of Egypt from the very beginning. And for the sake of not repeating ourselves for the umpteenth time, I love the story of Set. I love the story, but we have told it too many times on this channel, and we're not telling it again. So when we get to the battle between Isis, the Sunstriders, and Set, we're just going to skip that.
Yep, you already know what happens. You know, fucking the fucking Sunstriders. They go in there, they kick ass, they free Ra. Ra kicks the shit out of Set. Set kills Ra, and then we dam the Heart Flood, and that's that. Whatever.
And There is something a little unfortunate about this book. Would you like to guess when this came out?
When
Take a
would
wild
that be?
guess. Take a wild guess.
September 11th?
2001.
Yep.
Right before 9/11.
Oh,
Good lord.
Yeah. So, I wonder why White Wolf stopped writing about the Middle East after this book came out. God.
Yeah, probably.
You make the Assamites, and then you all of a sudden live in a world where nobody wants to touch the Assamites with a 10-foot pole. So, fantastic. It's kind of sucks too, because there are a few pages in this book that are kind of interesting, but a vast majority of this book, yeah, a lot of this information you can just go ahead and skip. Okay. We begin the history. You have DJ privileges. Let's see, let me just go ahead
here, I
and
got it.
stop that song. Let's see.
There you go.
We're going to find the Master Emerald pieces. Don't worry about it.
Do.
Alright. So I am quickly getting up this map of the Umbra. We have a detailed Umbra map in this book, by the way.
That is kind of fucking neat.
So
That's
though
nice.
the image is a little bit low resolution. Let's see, I don't know. We could probably run it through an AI resolution booster. Okay. Pop quiz for you. Who were the first changing breeds to occupy Egypt?
I would say the Macaulay.
That is correct. The Macaulay were the first people to occupy this area because, of course, they're the first changing breed. Now, who would be the second to occupy this land?
That
Think
one's a
about this.
little bit harder.
Let's see.
I'm gonna take a wild guess, and I'm gonna say the Ajaba.
It would be the Koraks who would occupy it next.
Really?
Yeah. Because, of course, the Koraks are everywhere. They were given that divine decree by Raven to spread across the planet. That was his divine law.
Yep.
And who would be the third? That would be the Bastet that would occupy the land. The Silent Striders are known as the Egyptian werewolf, but they did not get here until way further down the line. Our story begins somewhere around 10,000 BC during the Antediluvian times. Set has yet to claim power, so our story begins with the Silent Striders arriving in Egypt. They got their start in what country? What would eventually be the country's name?
Eventually.
If you remember.
What?
You remember our episode on the Ravnos, right?
Eventually, I think it wasn't Babylon, was it?
It was India that they got their start in,
yeah,
actually.
India.
Yeah, we're using Ravnos First Edition as our source for that, if you want to quote us on that. They got their start in India, and after the whole debacle with Cain embracing their kinfolk Ravnos, and Ravnos going off on his holy war against the Quajin, and India no longer felt like a home after that happened. You have too many bad memories of this land. They all packed up and they left for Egypt. They looked around, trying to find out, where would be a good place to be? Where would be a nice place to set up? We can't do China. We don't want to go into Europe. The Middle East, it looks cool, but the waters of men are already there. So, what's around here? Hey, what's that over there? It's long. It spans from the Mediterranean Sea into the Indian Ocean. Is that, say, the Nile River? Is that what that is?
Last I checked.
Let's see. Well, let's go on over. Let's check this out. And behold, they check it out. Find out that you got this entire civilization budding here. You got this entire Empire of Stone. You got the neighbors down here, the Macaulay. They're cool with us moving in. This place looks sweet. This place looks wicked. And their minds of the Sunstars, it's fuck, it didn't go through. I'm playing Handel's Hallelujah. Don't worry about it.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what they're thinking of as they're looking at this. Let's see.
Found all this sand in this long ass river and went, hey, yo, this shit bussin'.
See. Well, thank you, Corey. You waited until 8:24 at night before you finally texted me about work. Thank you for that.
Very kind.
That's
Very kind.
just how you do it.
Yeah. And, well, the Macaulay look over at the Stars when they arrive, and they're thinking, what are you doing here? Oh, we're just moving in. We like this place. Okay, don't be down here in the south. This is our territory. Oh, that's cool. We can go up here at the north. all right, cool. As long as you respect your land, that's cool. It's not trying to settle down. This place is awesome. The Nile River. We got everything we need here. Are we still going to travel? We're still going to be nomadic? Yeah, we're going to go where the food goes. And occasionally we'll just leave Egypt and check out what's going on over in Morocco and South Africa. And occasionally pay a visit back to India. Because that's what we do. We are the roaming werewolf. What's going on over there? Who's that? Oh, we got other wolves living here? Who's that? The Red Talons? Let's leave those guys alone. Let's not talk to those guys. They're a little crazy. Who else is here? Look around and find out that the Bastet live here, specifically the Bubasti. Do we know what a serval is?
Yes. A serval is like a very, very small cheetah-looking thing.
And do we know what a I think I'm saying it right, the caracal?
Oh, caracal?
Yes.
I love it when you call me Big Flop.
You got that whole YouTube channel of the guy that has one in his house and it growls at him whenever he tries to pet it.
Yep. The Cult of Flop.
It,
The Cult of Flop is a great name.
I love the Cult of Flop.
I remember Archie posted one of those in our server. Just one of those guys running around the house. So that's what the Bubasti are. That kind of cat.
Yep. Let me pull up a funny image of Big Flopper real quick.
There he is.
Yeah, let me find one. Give me a sec.
Pull up the YouTube short of the guy petting the one.
Yep, there we go. Big Flopper. Yep. Just open image and new tab. Everybody needs to see this. This is important.
Everybody gets to take a look at him.
Yep, there we go. We got Big Flopper right here.
So behold, would you believe if I told you that was one of the most powerful changing breeds in all of the World of Darkness?
Honestly, given the size of that motherfucker, yes. Yep. I honestly would.
He's got a big ass, sir.
Well, no, actually, that's really interesting about the caracal is that they have massive hind legs. They're really good jumpers. They could take birds out of the air.
Now, what they also have is magic. This is a changing breed that, as a culture, have learned magic. They're all sorcerers. Every single one of them has an rating of at least 2 in the World of Darkness.
That's kind of fucking tight.
They recommend a different books, the Sorcerer book, for you to run a Bubasti character because they know this magic. So, behold, all of them have a sphere in spirit, forces, correspondence, or what's the youth and entropy. They all have spheres in that. And what do they do with this magic? They're doing what the Actina doing, where they are going around not just entrapping Banes, but enslaving the Bane with their magic. That's how strong these guys are.
That's kind of tight.
You have a guy that can just go over, snatch a spirit out of the sky, and then use it to do, force it to do its bidding. They are outdoing the worm with their magic. This is why the Actina is a big deal. The Actina are a big deal because they have basically the entirety of the Dream Speakers as kinfolk. This is why you want to learn magic in this setting, because the minute you have sorcery, you can bend the world to your will. These are why the mages are so damn strong.
Yeah, they're fucking insane.
I'm going to blow your mind when you talk about Mage the Ascension, you find out just how strong these guys are. But that's their other neighbors. And yeah, you do have other Bastet around here too. You have the Bagheera, who are the were-leopards, specifically panthers. Almost all of them are panthers. You remember Bagheera from the Jungle Book, right?
Yeah, I imagine they're like that.
Yeah, they're your cool. They're your serious dad. Well, Baloo's your cool dad. Bagheera's the one that reminds you, we got a task at hand here. We can't dance and sing with King Louie. And you also had the Simba. Yes, that's what they're called, the Simba, the were-lion.
Simba.
And they're not so much Lion King so much as they are Kimba the White Lion when it comes to culture. They're named after the Lion King, but they have more in line with Kimba the White Lion. And the last one you have here are the Swara, the were-cheetah. And are any of those 3 in Egypt anymore? Not really. They just come up to Egypt for business now, but at the time of the story, they had massive populations down here. And everything is fine. And then the Imperium happens. Great, right?
Yep.
The Silent Striders are sitting around thinking, well, what's going on with the Red Talons? Why are they just going around killing humans? And
Because not.
the Wars of Men go over and say, oh, did you not hear about it? The Silent Striders said no. And they said, well, the Silver Fangs said, we got to do the Impergium now. We got to go around, we got to kill humans. Oh, we don't like that. That doesn't sound good. Yeah, we don't like it either, so we're just not going to do it. Oh man, we don't have to do what the Silver Fangs say. We could just not do the Impergium. Yeah, we don't have to do it. Okay. So Silent Striders just refused to participate in the Impergium.
That yet another Silent Strider W.
And upon hearing that both the Wars of Men, the Bone Gnawers, and the Silent Striders refused to participate in the Impergium, the Red Talons fucking snitch on the Silent Striders, causing the Silver Fangs to set up a house and a base in Egypt. Great.
Yeah.
This
Thanks.
is back when the Red Talons would just do whatever the Silver Fangs said. And to make sure that they're following the rules, the Silver Fangs are now breathing down the necks of the Silent Striders and are sending the Red Talons to enforce their laws if they go against them. So, shit. I guess we're going to have to participate in the Impergium the next time it happens, right? But it's not the Impergium that happens next. It's the War of Rage that happens next. A girl refuses to explain why a Silver Fang kinfolk is dead at the hands of the Naga. So now we have this massive war where the Silver Fangs say it's time to rise up and kill all the other changing breeds. And the Silent Striders don't want to do this. They don't want to fight the Bastet. They don't want to fight the Makole, but they have to. So they're going up to Makole. The Makole are attacking them, saying, you're killing our kinfolk. The Silent Striders are fighting back, saying, it's not us. We're so sorry we're doing this. And the Silent Striders eventually drive off the Makole, and they are deeply remorseful after this happens. They go back to their... What?
It's like that scene from the duel from the Halo Legends series where, Huck forces Ro to kill Arbiter's wife.
Yeah. You don't want to do it, but your boss is telling you have to, and you can't not do it this time, because if you don't kill the Makole, the Red Talons will do it for you, and then the Red Talons will come after you. And in a general duel between the Red Talons and the Silent Striders, I'm going to say the Silent Striders are going to lose that fight. Because the Silent Striders are more based around evasion and sneak attacks. The Red Talons can just run up to you and kill you.
Yep, Red Talons are pretty tough.
And when the Silent Striders come home, you have this homeless tweaker sleeping in your bed. Well, what the fuck? What is this? Oh, these are the Bone Gnawers? They're living here now. Well, why are they? Because the Silver Fang said so. So I guess we're just stuck with the Bone Gnawers as neighbors now. This was our land, and now the Silver Fangs are telling us what to do with it. Great. And how does the War of Rage end in Egypt? Well, we have a lore character to talk about this time. Sekhmet. We haven't talked about this character. Sekhmet is a lioness, Simba. She is a warrior queen. Behold, we got some big dick energy on a woman here. And what does she do? She goes into the Umbra, makes a deal with the fire spirits in Helios, and for 7 days, the sky turns red as the sunlight itself begins to smite people at random in the streets of Egypt. It's not targeting anyone in particular, it's targeting everybody. Everyone is all of a sudden just getting smoked by the sunlight. And this goes on for 7 days, and then suddenly stops. And we know that Sekhmet was responsible for it, but we don't know what happened to her after that 7-day period. She just disappears without a trace after that. So, cool, you ended the War of Rage, kind of sort of with that attack.
Good lord.
Yeah, she wasn't necessarily the cause of the end of the War of Rage, but she was a contributor in its end. Because now you got this changing breeds nutting up and casting the serious spells with that kind of magic.
Yep.
And around this time, Set enters the story. Set had succeeded at killing Ra, getting his horribly abusive grandfather out of power, and then killing and chopping up Osiris into pieces and throwing him into the Nile River, marrying his wife Nephthys. I believe I'm getting her name right. She's mentioned in the book here. Nephthys. That was the wife. It's spelled Nephthys. You see what's hard to pronounce.
Yes.
Yeah.
And driving Isis almost to a point of despair because what does Set do? Kidnaps her kid Horus, where he imprisons him at the bottom of his basement, and with his followers has a ritual where they rape Horus to death. And then keep the corpse around and continue to do that ritual.
I realized I got the story wrong at the beginning. It was Horus who was who was kidnapped by Set, but he did kill
Yep.
Ra, so I got that half right.
Yeah. They have Horus down here, and Isis is looking, saying, "This is terrible. I gotta learn some magic to get back at Set." But Set, however he became antediluvian, has the powers of a physical god. If you were to think of a god, that is the kind of power that Set has. His god complex is kind of justified. That guy is super fucking powerful, and he is freely embracing people to become members of his cult. The Setites, he has an entire religion based around him. He is the god emperor of Egypt, and you've got generation 4 and 5 Setites roaming the streets of Egypt enforcing his laws. That's some serious serpentis that you've got, along with obfuscate and presence. So you can't see these guys spying on you, and if you try fighting them, they use presence and shut down the encounter. It's powers made for enforcing a tyranny with the Setites. And Isis learns magic from Thoth. She goes over to Thoth, he's got a weird mixture between Hermetic and Euthanatoi magic. Neither of these traditions have really been established yet, but that's the kind of magic she's learning. It's forces and it's entropy that she's learning. And even though she's got this magic, she becomes an archmage. It's not enough to fight Set, because Set is just that strong. Around this time, while Set is rising to power and has his cult, the Sun Striders look around and notice that there's an unusually large amount of Banes in the Umbra of Egypt. What is going on here? Okay, they kill the Banes come back, and there's more Banes than before. What's going on with Bubasti? Oh, they're still imprisoning the Banes, but now the Bubasti are complaining that there's more Banes than usual in the Umbra. And the Sun Striders are up to their necks and fighting all these different Banes. The Red Talons are going crazy, chasing after them. They chase them all the way down into South Africa. You have the Bonars and the Warriors of Men. The Warriors of Men have to leave Egypt because there's just too many Banes for them to worry about. And on top of that, they were becoming disenfranchised with Egypt and were starting to become interested in the Middle East as a whole. And you have the Bonars, and the Bonars, well, they're here, they're helping us, but it's not much. So what do we do here? The current strategy is that the Sun Striders go over to the Makole and formally apologize for the War of Rage, saying, "We are so sorry we killed you. We hope you understand that we really did not want a hand in that War of Rage." The Makole with the Mimesis go back, look at the past, say, "You're right, you didn't want to kill us." And so the Sun Striders and Makole make up and form a loose alliance in Egypt. They're going around, they're fighting the Banes, but it's still not enough. Why are all these Banes showing up? And then it dawns on them. Set. He's the reason why all of these Banes are showing up in the Umbra. And Egypt is slowly becoming this spiritual hellhole where everyone is just thinking about getting their rocks off and becoming doped out of their mind on opium. So how do we handle this? The answer would come to them with Isis approaching them. And Isis says, "I'm forming an army. I have the Puka, all these different gods of Egypt. Those aren't actually gods. They're Puka, taking the names of those gods. I have them on my side. The Bubasti have agreed to help me. I have this woman with me, Metztha, where she knows how to make mummies. She's a proto-Euthanatoi, and she's helping me make all these different mummies. And I need you and the Makole to help me out on this." Okay, well, how do we know you're not going to go in and steal our quintessence, steal the power of our cairns if we do this? And then Isis gives her entire life story, and it moves the Sun Striders when they hear it. One of the Sun Striders steps up and says, "Your story has impacted me so deeply that I'm going to change my deed name to Shu Horus, and I will be the one to lead the Sun Striders in the fight against Set." And it's a great honor, and we've already told this story how many times already?
At least 3 or 4.
With the battle against Set. We know how it ends. Everyone but the Sun Striders makes it to the end of that fight. The Bonars have to retreat, and then Osiris comes back with a pack of La Sombra. He kind of sort of is and isn't a member of the La Sombra. You look at his disciplines, he has got a lot of stuff in common with Lasombra, and it makes sense because Lasombra was active in the region. And it's kind of up in the air as to how did Osiris get vampire powers, and was he really worshipped as a figurehead in vampire society? I mean, the Osiris phenotype, that's named after the man, because he had a group of good guy vampires roaming around. And the good guy vampires that joined Osiris initially were Lasombra. Lasombra was in the Mediterranean Ocean as the sea monster, taking ships down and dragging them down into the bottom of the Mediterranean. So it's weird how Osiris got his power, because did Lasombra have a hand in that, or did Isis just make you a magic vampire? Because mages can do that. They can cast a spell that will turn you into a pseudo-vampire. But either way, Osiris dies in a fight against Set. Nephthys was casting a spell to limit Set's powers. Set finds out that Nephthys is doing this, kills her, and then Isis comes back and says, "Behold, I have resurrected my son. He's now a remnant." Mummy the Resurrection. I'll look into Mummy the Resurrection. These are characters that cannot die. You max out your points of aggravated damage, you don't die, you come right back. The universe itself wills you into existence. Because as it turns out with Mummy the Resurrection, the universe itself is giving you the command to rebalance the triad. That's the point of Mummy the Resurrection.
Holy shit.
Yeah, behold, you have the world's warrior, the will of the world coming back with these mummies. Where Horus, as a form of revenge, lands a strike on Set so powerful it permanently destroys a portion of his body, like a portion of his abdomen and his cock and balls. That's canon. And then the Sun Striders come in, dam the Heart Flood, and finish the job, but not quite. Set covers himself in this dark carapace of magic that prevents him from permanently dying. Set falls into torpor like this. They bring him out in the sun. Sun's not frying him. Okay, let's stop him with the glaive. Nope, glaive isn't killing him. Can we blast him with this gigantic spell? We do. It doesn't kill him. Well, I guess he's just stuck like this. He can't really hurt anybody like this. Let's just scoop him up and throw him in this tomb. And that's it. That's all we can do with him. So, Set's still active in a spiritual sense, and Set sets up his revenge. He devises a long list of curses that he's going to give out to everybody. Now, the corruption of the Nesis, I'm not saying this is canon with Set, but it sounds cool if Set's the reason why this happens. With the Makole, this isn't canon, the Nesis starts getting corrupted as part of the curse. You slowly start losing your memory with Gaia, and now the Banes can come in and start destroying the spirit library. That's what happens with the Makole. The Bubasti, their curse is that they can no longer leave the boundaries of Egypt. Egypt, as it will be known forever, with an abstract boundary, you are now forever stuck inside of Egypt. The Bubasti don't see this as an issue at first, but then years later begin to realize, oh shit, we're about to population bomb. And then they have to seriously start learning some magic in order to extend their lifespans, but we'll talk about that later. And then with the Side Striders, the guys that land the alleged killing blow on Set, they get 3 curses. The first, Wraiths all know your location. Every single Wraith will know where you are and will pursue you at all times. Second, you can no longer regain Gnosis as long as you are within the borders of Egypt. Third, you can no longer talk to your ancestors. All of your ancestor spirits, there's now a veil blocking you from the ancestors, they're gone. And shit, right? Yep. Well, with all those magic factors compounding against us, we can no longer live in Egypt. It's just not sustainable anymore. And all the Silent Striders have to leave, and thus we have the Silent Striders as we know them today, a group of werewolves wandering around the world trying to find a new home to set up in, but that room is too big, that place is too small, that looks just right, oh no, there's a Bane. They will never really find a home, and have taken the black pill on finding a new home and say, we just want Egypt back. We want to find a way to break the curse of Set, but we still haven't figured it out because Set was in the tomb, and then that tomb became heavily guarded by Setites. That came back equipped with sorcery, and now we can no longer get to Set. And then with the with the crucifixion of Jesus Christ in the year 33, Set's tomb and his pyramid and the sarcophagus he was in is just gone. It all just crumbled. We no longer have a Set body. We have no idea where Set is. We're now in panic mode because is it like the case of Wotan with the Gefenris, where he's just somewhere out in space? He's going to come back one day? I don't know what's going on with Set. I was of the firm belief that Set was never going to come back, that was just old wives' tale. Upon reading Gehenna again, yeah, Set's going to come back. It's going to happen. He's somewhere, and he's going to pop back out into existence. Maybe Malkav taught him the trick of controlling your quantum state. Maybe that happened.
That's entirely that was the whole plot of our playthrough of Rage Across New York, was that, Malkav was trying to put together a spell to resurrect Set the same way that he did in the in our original vampire game, Las Vegas by Night.
But then, behold, the entire ritual went up in smoke because, as it turns out, your entire ritual, that was a lie told to you by Bacchus.
God, I love that fat, fruity bastard. He's the best.
The entire ritual was a damn lie. You were just wasting your time the entire time, Malkav.
Oh, yeah, God, I love it.
So what happened to Egypt after the Sandstriders left? Well, you had the Bonards. They did participate in the fight with Set, and they got cursed too. You know their tribal weakness where money just seems to evade them? That was made worse by Set. It doesn't matter if the Bonar is a gambling addict that every time they get $5, they immediately spend on a scratch card, and then that scratch card comes back as a losing ticket, or they just happen to have bad luck when it comes to money, or you pick up a $5 bill and it just flies out of your pocket on the wind. That became amplified by Set.
Rigged. I think that's rigged.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah.
Behold, Cleft Reed, you now have a personal reason to hate the Setites.
Cleft can't fucking hold more than 1,000 in assets.
Yep.
Well, you invested in the
curse.
stock market, and then the day later, that market crashed.
I feel like a Glasswalker would abuse that, especially a Carpet Wolf.
Here, we're going to get you to invest all this money into Apple and Nvidia.
Cleft, the reason his stuff keeps blowing up is because of that. He keeps getting over $1,000 in assets.
Yep.
That's why all his explosions or thieves and other things just come and take his shit. And he's like,
Now,
what the fuck?
the way you loop around this is that you don't liquidate any of this. You got to immediately spend that money the minute you get it.
It's because he's wanted. All of his assets are frozen now.
You got to keep spending your money on chocolate bars at the convenience store, and to stay right under 1,000. You get the nice. You just come back. You have a scene to life play. We just come back and you have an entire box of Snickers bars underneath your arm.
What was this car again?
See, you got a Ford F-150, right?
Ford F-150.
Yeah, you had the Bonars in Egypt, but the Bonars didn't really do anything with the land. The Ratkin did. The Ratkin, the minute they saw the Sandstriders and the Red Towns were gone, just dove on top of Egypt. It became their land. Boom, it's Ratville now. You want to talk about all the rats in Egypt?
Yeah.
Let's look this up. Let's type in Egypt rat population.
How many rats are in Egypt?
How many rats are in Egypt? Let's see here. Well, we have an official study. Well, it's kind of old. When was this released? 1996? Let's see here. It's not giving me an exact number. This paper I'm pulling up saying a bunch of the diseases being passed around in Egypt are caused by rats. Like yellow fever and shit like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So,
no
it's not because of the rats, it's because of the fucking fleas they carry with them. And then the ratkin will pick up a handful of fleas off their back and throw it at you. And that's how you get the sickness.
It's like ratkin pocket sand. Pocket plague.
Pocket fleas.
So behold, the rats of Egypt, that's what you get. But did we have any werewolves around this area? Yes, because the Red Talons would come back as they start breeding with the painted dogs and become the Kucha and Kudu and start hanging around this area too. And we do get another werewolf clan. Now the Silver Fangs were in the region, but they would eventually become entirely dependent on Europe. And eventually there were no longer black members of the Silver Fangs. And what was here instead? The Shadow Lords. Wherever a Silver Fang goes, a Shadow Lord is right behind them. They saw that the Zerfangs weren't doing anything with the land. Oh, you're going to do nothing with this land? We'll take it. And so you have those three in this area, the Shadow Lords, Red Talons, and Ratkin. And that's what you get for a while. And do any of them talk with each other? No. No, none of them ever collaborate with each other. Because the Red Talons don't like the Shadow Lords for being manipulative bastards. The Shadow Lords realize that they can't always bribe the Red Talons with murder. And then the Ratkin are the Ratkin. Bombs away, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So nobody really had an organized front against the Setites. The Setites just did whatever they wanted now that the Silent Stars were gone. But then, boom, we have an unexpected hero. The Assamites come in to clean up house.
Yeah, buddy.
You know things are bad when the Assamites are your heroes.
I don't care. The Assamites are based. We've been over this.
They all come in, and they hate the Setites, dude. Like, Hakim has put the Setites as a clan on their shit list. Hakim hates vampires in general, but the Setites they deserve a special place in hell, in his mind. You have the Assamites just charging into Egypt, killing Setites left and right, and you do have Setites that do form a stronghold in Egypt and don't die at the hands of the Assamites, but the clan as a whole scatters to the wind their younger members because they just cannot fight the Assamites on a head-to-head battle. And you have this eternal battleground in Egypt where it's the Assamites and the Setites constantly fighting in this region. The war's still ongoing. It's been going on for 10,000 years by this point. And see, is there any other clan around this region? Well, there is an add perk to the Shadow Lords because, like we discussed, how many times have the Shadow Lords tried buying the allegiance of the Assamites? They want the Assamites on their side. They're find out these are the vampires that can just cause people to drown in the vomit of their own blood. Sign us up for that. All the assassinations that they'll be able to pull off with an Assamite contractor. But second, they set up along the Mediterranean Ocean so that they can be closer to the Ventru. You know how much they love the Ventru, right?
Oh, they're best freaking friends.
Yeah, just you have the uncomfortable Ventru in the arms of the Shadow Lord saying, "We're friends. We're friends. That's what we are. We're going to have a beautiful relationship with each other."
It's the absolutely same thing. Are.
It's the same thing with the Koraks when they're just holding them. You and I are gonna be best friends.
And then as for the Bubasti, they were the only members of the Bastet that stuck around. You had the Makole too, but the Makole were in such a small number. They said, fuck it, we can't really hold Egypt anymore. We're just going to go over to the other parts of Africa. The Bubasti were here not by choice. So they sat around and realized, well, we've got a long-term issue here. Short term, we're fine. We're still sexy badasses. We can control the Banes, but we're eventually going to die of old age. How do we fix that? You start investing in sorcery and then start extending their lifespans using their magic. So you have some members of the Bubasti who are really, really, really old with their magic. Behold, with the Sphere of Entropy, you can stop your own personal aging for a short time only. As long as you still have a flow of contestants, you can live forever. As for, do we have any Bubasti that have been around for that long? No. Those guys have died of old age, but you do have Bubasti roaming around that are 1,000 years old. Which is an add perk. And that's where we were for a while, and White Wolf fast forwards through a ton of history around this point. You do have a Black Fury presence in here, surprisingly. You want to know where they set up? They set up themselves up in Alexandria.
In that great library.
It's not called Alexandria anymore, is it?
I thought it was. I don't know. Actually, here, let me check.
See, let's pull this up.
Is it actually still?
No, it's still here. It's still called that.
Eh?
I was thinking of Constantinople. That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, that's Istanbul now, and that's in Turkey.
Yeah, but yeah, Alexandria is still called Alexandria. Look at this place. This looks like a decent vacation spot. And as soon as this war shit blows over, maybe that's worth checking out.
That's gonna be a minute, my man.
Yeah, I heard they got terrible internet though.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, well, I need to cite the reference on this. It was like top 10 countries that have like the worst internet. Like Egypt was on the list.
Dude, that somehow makes sense.
Check out this place has got some cool stuff in it.
Actually, yeah.
Uh,
Post a picture in chat so we can put it up there.
let's see.
This is the city of Alexandria, right?
Copy this. Yeah. Yeah, this is what it looks like, just like the buildings themselves.
Yeah, it looks really pretty. Here, hang on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I was a Black Fury, I'd set it up here too.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I would too. That's
It's got a nice little beach on it.
yeah.
One of my Arabic friends who came to study in the U.S. He always said that the Egyptians were like the dude bros of the Middle East.
See, given that the only people they hate is their own government.
Kind of based.
Yeah. Behold, us and Americans in Egypt, there's not that much different between us. And who else sits up here? Surprisingly, the Stargazers want to come here. You want to know why?
Ancient history.
Because when you are an empire that has a whole bunch of stuff based around astrology, the Stargazers want a piece of that. You have all this divination technology in the Middle East, and the Stargazers want a piece of it before they all retreated to Tibet. But yeah, that's what you had here for a while. But yeah, as we said before, Ratkin, Red Talons, Shadow Lords, that's the majority here. And what else happens? Nothing until we get to 1952. You were familiar with the events of Black Saturday?
I actually am not, and I was wondering about that in the book.
You had World War II happen, where the British, for years and years, occupied and controlled Egypt. After they began to weaken after World War I and II, in the 1950s, you had the Egyptians were sick to damn death of the British, and you had all these different protesters and insurgents refusing to listen to British rule anymore and wanted them out of the country as soon as possible. The British respond by going into the police barracks of Al Ismailia, and they kill 50 Egyptians. And thus you have 6 months worth of riots after that. And of course, in 1952, the free officers would seize power from King Farouk and form the Revolutionary Command Council, and then that council would then collapse, and then in 1953, Egypt would declare itself its own country, and you have your history from therefore. And we know you can look up on Wikipedia what happens after that. But we have some Silent Strider stuff going on at this time. Oh, sorry, not Silent Striders, Glasswalkers. Who was the head honcho around this time? The Glasswalkers, after they surged in power in the 1920s, came back and started taking all this territory. Egypt was one of those places. You had a guy that seized power in 1943. His name was Shukri Lightning on the Dunes. That's a cool name for a Silent Strider, Glasswalker, right?
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah.
He comes in after this massive, how many years with this? 7-year-long vision quest, where he comes back with all these weird lightning powers. And he says, I'm the captain now after that vision quest. He takes power in 1950. And he says, during Black Saturday, the worm is active here. The worm is in this crowd, corrupting the masses, making them extremely violent, turning people into Fomori. I'm going to go in there with a small army. I'm going to clean house. You have the Shadow Lords and the Silent Striders telling them, don't do this. Don't do this. The Shadow Lords, because it's not their operation. The Shadow Lords want to be in control of this. The Silent Striders are saying it because Owl, the totem itself, came to the Silent Striders and said, you gotta stop this. I got a vision that says this is going to end in catastrophe. You gotta stop this from happening. The Silent Striders go over. Am I rubber banding at the moment?
No, you're good.
Okay,
You're good on me.
I just saw my ping drop for a minute. The Silent Striders go over to Shukri and say, you gotta call this off. Don't do this. Don't do this, man. You're going to die doing this. Shukri doesn't listen to a word they say, and he goes off into battle with 20 different Gero at his backs. And he's in the streets of Cairo, going around attacking all these Fomori that are popping up in the streets in the Umbra, attacking the Bane spirits, shocking them to death. And he's doing fantastic. He kills 6 Setites in 3 days. But then his cousin, one of his followers, dies in a fight. And that begins to fuck with Shukri. He begins to crack as some of his men start dying after that. And then on the 4th day, he says, wait a minute. I'm wasting my time. The real enemy isn't in Cairo. He's in Alexandria. And he picks up his remaining forces, runs off to Alexandria, and then we don't really know what happened. We know that Shukri died, and what happened to his followers they were either dragged into Malpheus, killed, or were embraced and turned into abominations. We don't know what this true enemy in Alexandria was. But in doing so, it caused the Setites to realize, hold on a minute. We just killed this guy. We can fight back against this. And then Setite efforts against fighting against werewolves doubled after that happened. You now have the Setites in the streets hunting Geru after that day. Shit, right?
Yeah. That's a bit of a paradigm shift in the region.
And that gives a whole bunch of
Just a tad.
validation to the Silent Destroyers, the Swords of the Night, Daggers of the Night, where now we have a fire sale on Silent Destroyers where we have to hire these guys to fight the Setites because they know more about fighting Setites than anyone else. And now you have, ever since 1952, Egypt has been in complete fucking chaos because there is a constant shadow war going on in this region where everyone is having a piece of each other. Vampires killing vampires, werewolves killing vampires, black spirals jumping into the middle of the fight and throwing everything off balance. It's chaos now, and I don't imagine the Arab Spring made anything any better.
Probably not.
Yeah, when that happened, this was written before 9/11 happened. You want to talk about after 9/11, I imagine this region is a hell of a lot worse.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Oh, yeah.
Although I imagine, given the prevalence of Islam in Egypt, which it is the dominant religion, I feel like it's a lot harder for Setites to get followers that way.
Yeah, especially you're seeing like Islam grow more and more dogmatic as the years are going on. Where they managed to recruit Sneeko on their side after they threatened his life, and he converted to Islam to appease them.
Sneeko?
Yeah, you haven't heard this guy?
I have not. No.
He's one of Nick Fuentes' friends.
Oh, that prick.
Yeah, he's half Haitian, half Hispanic, and he got convinced by Nick Fuentes to hate his own race.
What?
So, yeah, just to let you know what kind of guy he is.
That's fucking insane.
Yeah, he had a great video where he was at one of Nick Fuentes' little neo-Nazi rallies, and he got his teeth punched out by a security guard. He's missing half of his front tooth now after that happened.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, you don't want to fuck with a Muslim who's pissed off at you.
No.
Because especially after the Assamites collapsed as a faction and became the Banu Hakim instead. Because you want to work with the Banu Hakim, you can't work with the Banu Hakim because with the Banu Hakim, it's their way or the highway. They will fucking kill you if over the slightest insult because the entire clan is just that angry 24/7.
They're still based, though.
They'll just snap their fingers and cause your heart to explode in your chest. And you combine that. What? You combine that with the Ashura, where the Banu Hakim lead their own faction, where they have Muslim Bruja and Nosferatu in the faction too. And those are two different vampires that can kill you in one punch. So, yeah, I imagine this region is pretty fucking tumultuous.
Just a little bit.
All things said and done. See, if you were to run a chronicle in the Middle East, how would you set it up? Would you do a vampire or werewolf?
I'd do a werewolf.
I don't know. I feel like with the politics of the region, I feel like a vampire campaign would be very well suited to it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like if this is a werewolf game, then you would just be going on a killing spree.
Yeah.
Oh, just ratkin. Yeah.
Yeah. And also heavily depends on what group you're playing as too. Like depending on what country your game takes place in, because you had that massive regime change in Iran in the 70s. And now Iran hates everybody hates Iran, but you can't do anything about it because they have nuclear weapons. And what other issues you have going on? You have this whole war with Syria. You have Saudi Arabia fighting Yemen. You got everything going along with the Gaza Strip at the moment. So you will have no shortage of battles in your chronicle if you want to have a game take place here.
Yep.
We also have this entire throwaway section where it's talking about Pintex in the region. And it's this big list about Indron oil. Like, oh, surprise, Indron oil's here. The place that's known for oil has an evil oil company in it. Big surprise.
I'm gonna be honest. You know what would be an interesting sort of werewolf game, and it does mention like there was a Garrow who was who was deployed in the army that had his first change here. I think it was a Glasswalker. No, it was a Glasswalker. We'll talk about him a little bit later because he is an interesting character. But you could have like a Jarhead or Generation Kill type campaign
Oh yeah.
as in Werewolves, where it's like, you and a handful of soldiers of Garrow, sort of like, what was the one about the Get Ephemeris in World War II? What was that one called?
I know what we're talking about. It's Sergeant. Don't say Pepper.
No.
Sergeant Pepper and the Boys. We're going to call it that for now until I remember the name.
I forget, but something like that, but in the Middle East. It's like you're fighting you're fighting Iran oil, but you're also expected to carry out your orders, but you kind of can't because they would conflict with them. That would be an interesting campaign.
I'm also thinking something along the lines of Spec Ops: The Line, where you have an entire region that's sealed off through like a Wormish or Nafandi sandstorm, and you gotta prevent the Fomori and the Black Spirals from acting out from freedom of the Veil because nobody can reach this region because of the sandstorm.
Takes a strong man to deny what's right in front of him.
You got all this stuff, or like, was it 6 Days in Fallujah?
Oh yeah, dude, that'd be fucked.
Yeah, so yeah, you got a ton of stuff you can do in this region.
Yep. Let's hear it for 20 years of pointless conflict.
You also got... Yeah, we're doing a peacekeeping mission. Don't worry about it. Those aren't citizens. They're insurgents. Kill them all.
I would highly recommend, by the way, watching Generation Kill. It's a spectacular show.
We had the President of the United States bombing an average of 3 houses a day, and then he awards himself the Nobel Peace Prize.
Insane.
I love it. I love Warhawks.
That's all we got now.
You want to talk about the individual locations now?
Yeah, that sounds important.
See, Ryan, I sent you the list of cairns in the region.
Yes.
See, did you find ones that you liked?
Yes.
All right, let's go over it. Let's do it.
I found ones that were randomly generated by a number generator. Hey.
Behold, we have now going to do the AI generated portion of the show where none of this information is true.
All right, time to get my best robot voice on.
Yeah, this is actually in the book though. Okay, dead ass.
Yeah. So the first one I chose was the Sept of the Shagarata Aldur. I'm sorry if I butcher these.
Yeah, these are some hard words.
They are, and I apologize in advance. It is the City of the Dead. It's a level 2. It has a gauntlet of 4. The type is leadership. The totem is rat, and its tribal structure is bonar. It is a unique and very urban graveyard, and it houses living and dead. It's extremely large. It's safe for tourists.
Mm-hmm.
Thought I'd toss that in there. It is situated in an abandoned mosque several blocks north from the mausoleum of Shagarat al-Dur.
It's fun words.
Yeah, it's named after a commoner queen who was born a slave in the 13th century.
Let's see. Checking this place out.
And
what happens here?
They pretty much worship her by the looks of it.
We fund the queen.
Yeah, well, yeah, she is a queen, but they
rub her feet with oil every day.
Yeah,
kiss her feet.
It's like the Cicero from Skyrim.
Yeah. Absolutely love her. You gotta kneel before the queen. That what the queen says goes. You're copying the Nazi. That's what you're doing.
She is dead though.
Yeah. Well, maybe if you love her enough, she'll come back to life.
So it's become a necrocrat, or was it necro something? What was the
necromancer?
When you worship a dead guy?
Yeah.
A necrophile?
No,
Oh,
no, that's
not
something.
that,
No,
not
that's
that.
something entirely different.
different type of worship there, my friend.
Get necocracy. I guess it's what it's called. Necocracy.
Where the dead rule?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. All right. Okay, all right. Let's continue with the description.
Yeah.
There's not really much to say.
Oh, well, that's it. Really, you just have a dead queen. You worship the dead queen.
Yeah,
Get
it goes in
genders
a little bit into her history, but I'm not gonna lie, I haven't read that much into these.
See, well, just like the base description of these places. That's all you really need to know.
Yeah.
What's next?
The next one that I randomly rolled was Sept of the Hidden Water. It is a wandering oasis in the Arabian desert. It's a level 1, has a gauntlet of 4. It is a wild type. The totem is Kamsin,
Yeah.
or Zorilla.
Yeah, which is a literal storm.
The tribal structure is a red talon. This is located 30 kilometers southwest of the city of Suez, Suez.
Yeah, Suez. Yeah.
This tiny oasis cairn appears only during periods of the aqueduct rainfall, November through March. It gives red talons important toehold in the northern Arabian desert. It is a permanent fixture for the Zorilla spirits.
Sounds like a fun place to be.
It's not really. I guess it's not a totem,
Yeah.
Even though it says it is.
Yeah. It's more like a bunch of spirits that have gathered together and have become a totem.
Yeah. So there's that one.
Yep. But basic enough, right? The red talents don't really have anything going with them.
Yeah, I mean, it goes into the personalities of the people living there as well, but yeah.
All right. What's
my
next?
third one is a randomly generated number 3 is Hive of the Boiling Sands.
BSDs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It is the hive is a port said. It's a level 3, has a gauntlet of 3. The type is toxins. And the totem is whippoorwill.
You are wasting your time worshiping this bird.
No. It's fine.
Yes.
And as you guys said, it is a tribal structure of black dancers. It is a formerly a nest for Port Said's once large ratkin population. The hive of Boiling Sands has become a major source of concern to those who know about it. The Black Spirals invaded this place 20 years ago, from whenever this time setting is.
1981.
1980. Holy fuck.
Yeah, so this place has been corrupted for 40 years.
Jesus.
That's some deep-rooted corruption, then.
Yeah, they paid their price because the hive contains a portal to the cavern of Osiris, a realm inhabited by the... Johnny, I'm going to need your help with this one.
Vujunka. Do you remember these guys?
They sound familiar.
Do you remember watching a movie once upon a time called The Deadly Spawn?
No.
Okay, let's go ahead. Let me just pull up what these guys look like. Let's see. This is creepy as shit. Okay, so imagine this coming after you, but with legs. It's taking a minute to load. Give it just a minute. Yeah, that.
No, why?
That. No, yeah. I don't want
why?
that. Yeah, that thing with legs. That's what the Vujunka are.
No, thank you.
No, yes. I'm gonna say that's a no for me, Chief.
That what the Vujunka are, if you remember, that was the worm recreating people. That was the worm's attempt at making a person.
Yeah. Kill it with fire.
Yeah, that's a far cry to what a person's supposed to look like.
Yeah, he didn't do a very good job.
He inhabits the realm that they are connected to.
Mhm.
And it goes on to say that a couple of Black Spiral dancers were tortured by the realm sentences before the Theurge was able to partially reseal the gate. None. Huh. It says that the Hive of Bowling Sands is a proficient, if not extraordinary, pack. I don't understand what that sentence is supposed to mean.
It's got an extraordinary pack of black spirals ready to kill you.
I guess, yeah.
Yes.
And then it starts to go into other people, the people of the tribe.
Where you got this guy leading it called Nicho. He's got this like rat head and a wolf body, and he's like so evil that like other black spirals are disgusted by him.
It makes him the best black spiral ever.
He's trying to out evil the worm.
Out evil the worm. How sign me up.
He Seb would love him. He'd say, "You're so disgusting and perverted. I gotta get you on my side." See, you gotta prepare the way for the second coming, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's one of my favorites.
That came out sounding pretty good.
I'm gonna make that the official voice of the worm.
Do we have any more Karens we want to talk about?
I do have one more.
Let's talk about it.
The Sept of the Healing Dawn.
Yes.
That's a very important one.
It is a Quena. Quena.
Q-U-E. Say that one more time.
Quena.
See. That's where it's located?
That's what it's called.
Let's see. Oh, it's the city of Kena, Egypt.
Kena, okay. Temple of the Dendara.
Yeah, you pronounce the Q as like a KH sound.
I got you.
Yeah.
It is a level 2. It is a gauntlet of 4. The type is Soulless. The totem is Starlight. And its tribal structure is based off the Children of Gaia.
Ooh, my favorite.
The temple was built to the goddess of Hathor. And it's rumored to be where Sekhmet was restored to her more benign persona. During...
Yeah, this would be the place where they got her saying, "Yo, can you chill out with the deadly sunlight?"
Yeah. It was once controlled by the Silent Striders. During the 20th century, it again became the one Karen in Egypt. Aside from the Sept of the Western Flame, where the tribe could find and rest and regain Gnosis. Oh, this is huge. This is a huge Sept.
Yeah.
Especially for Theurges.
A lot of COGs there.
The reason for the turn of events are obscured, meaning not many people know about it, which is weird given the fact this is supposed to give us the facts of the world of darkness.
Yeah. It's supposed to be a fact book, and you won't have this obscure shit in it.
Right.
That's what makes
Who
it
knows
fun. It's a mystery.
You see why this book kind of sucks.
A little bit.
Behold, that's what the place looks like, by the way, while I just posted in history pages.
Yeah, let me see.
There's not that much of an urban development.
No.
I mean, you've got like the building. They modeled themselves after the Soviet building.
Here's the
fact. The building.
Yeah.
Here's the fact that that is hidden in what's it called? Theatrics.
Yes.
They say that it's most likely tied to the reemergence of the totem spirit, so the starlight.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're saying is the cause, but they hit it in like, well, it's obscure and no one really knows.
Yeah, nobody really knows where this place is. We can just bullshit about this,
right? The Karen restores Gnosis by night and heal wounds by the day, which is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Those who rest here feel a profound sense of peace, but it's not like a lulling sensation. Guests are re-energized and ready to take on new challenges. There is no master of the challenge.
No.
Looking for applicants.
You're all children of Gaia. You don't believe in violence.
Oh yeah, it's true.
But they need a remnant strike.
It says that it is looking for honorable applicants, but who knows if that's gonna actually happen.
Yeah. You want to hear about something crazy? Because we gotta mention this place in order to set up a later part of the book.
What would that be?
This would be the Hive of the Thrashing Serpent. It is near Giza, level 4, Gauntlet 3, type Void, totem a Pep. Remember that name.
Holy
And of course,
fuck,
the BSDs
really?
control this place. So this place has been in control of the under the BSDs since 1941, when the Nazis decided they want to come here and try to find the Ark of the Covenant. And they have never left. It's 80 years this place has been evil. The reason why we're mentioning this place is because, well, first of all, Indron has a little headquarters set up here. But second, a Pep is hanging out underneath this cairn in the spirit world. And who is a Pep? If there were to be a fourth head of the Triadic worm, it would be a Pep. You want to talk about a Pep now? We can talk about a Pep now.
That's probably an excellent idea. We do know that Set supposedly fought and won against a Pep.
Yeah, if Set's to be believed, of course.
Which we cannot.
Now, the thing with a Pep is that he's kind of like an evil version of Luctena. Well, Luctena was with the worm for years and years, never really renounced his ways, and then quit working with the worm in order to one day usurp and become stronger than the worm. A Pep was a good guy version. He was on board with the balance worm, but when the balance worm disappeared, eventually the defiler worm got his hands on a Pep and corrupted him and turned him into what's essentially a future replacement for the consumption worm. When the consumption worm was eventually banished by the Croatan, a Pep kind of sort of filled the void for the consumption worm. He's not going to consume the planet, though. He's going to he wants to consume the sun. He's targeting Helios, of all things. Is he big enough to do that? Maybe not, because he's been stewing in the planet for 500 years, trying to think about how he's going to destroy the sun. He's probably looking for some nuclear missiles that they can shoot into the sun and force them to go supernova.
I mean, probably, if you can get a fucking nuke to go that far.
You've got enough rocket power. If you all of a sudden see Egypt start a space program, become very suspicious about it.
Right. Hey, bro, nuke the sun. Trust me, bro, nothing bad will happen, ever. I promise.
Who's our benefactor? The snake god?
That's only if glasswalkers become worm tainted.
Exactly. Which is going to happen at some point, because Cockroach is more than willing to get in bed with a defiler worm.
Yeah.
Yeah. You rat bastard, you're driving the entire tribe into the ground.
It's either that or the Weaver ascends.
Yeah, either that or Stourbridge Lion takes control again, and then he ruins the tribe again.
It depends on which flavor of Glasswalker ruination you prefer.
Enjoy the time you have, Glasswalkers, because you're about to crash and burn. And now we can talk about the Umbra. You want to talk about the 12-layer cake of the Umbra?
That's a fucking lot.
We have 12 unique realms in Egypt.
Jesus.
How many realms are in this game? Does anyone have an idea? There's over 7 realms. Let's talk about them. We're going to go about these in numerical order. And there's a map where they have tunnels and they're all interconnected with each other, and the image is kind of low resolution. You can barely read the text.
We'll see.
I'm going to send it to you anyway.
Yep.
All right. So here's the page. So, yeah, there's the page. Got to really zoom in on that.
Actually, no, it's not. It's not terrible. Actually,
it's not bad, but it could be better.
Yeah, but I can read it still.
Okay, so you have all these different places to it. Now, notice that there is no way to get into the 12th sphere. That 12th area. There's a big reason behind that. We're going to get into that. Okay, let's go about numerical order.
Rumored gates, it looks like.
See. We begin with the first one, the Great City. Or it used to be. This used to be a nice city. It used to be this giant entire city made out of stone. Now it's just a flat, gray stone pedestal in the middle of a desert. And that's it. That's it. Now there's nothing here.
That's your
And
lonesome starting point.
you have the black bane winds, where the wind itself will just blow through you and corrupt you. There's like this snake monster that's traveling around in the sand. It's basically Saturn from Beetlejuice. That's what this is.
That sucks.
You don't step in the sand, the worms will eat you.
Walk with our rhythm, and you won't attract the worm.
See, the next one is the Fields of Werness, Realm 2, which is a broad, sweeping desert that is almost on fire. The air here is so hot that it will cook you if you step into this realm without protection. It's filled with fire spirits and air spirits of Gaia. They're very violent. They want to cook you the minute you come into the realm. But if you prove that you're not a pussy, they'll leave you alone, and they will teach you the Mac Daddy, like, serious high-level gifts if you survive their flames. This is also believed to be the place where Sakmet, I'm forgetting her name already, came over here and cast a big spell where she burnt everybody to a crisp with the sun. This is believed to be the place. There's also this nameless fire goddess that hangs around here. Nobody's really lived to tell the tale after seeing her face, because she'll cook you if you see her. The liquid in your eyes will boil upon seeing her. And that's it really. You just cook here.
It's like Sarah Connor in Terminator 2. Anybody not wearing 2 billion sunblocks is gonna have a real bad day.
Oh, yeah.
See, next up is Realm 3, formerly known as the Field of Grain. It is now known as the City of Hungry Knives. The worm has full control over this place. Now, the grain, so to speak, is a figure of speech. The grain is your soul, and the harvester is the worm. You come into this place, and it's this field of... Let's see, reading over this. This is a bit... they don't list what Maelgen lives here, but a Maelgen Incarna lives here. Whichever Maelgen Incarna it is, I guess it's up to a storyteller. Where you go over here, and it looks like a modern version of an Egyptian city, but there's just blood and gore splattered everywhere. There's just dead bodies in the street. Street lamps are covered in people's intestines, and blood's come out of the fire hydrants.
It looks like
And
an H.R. Geiger painting.
It's filled with banes with sharp weapons that go around and they kill you. And that's it, really. And
I mean, if Mendy pulls up with a Tommy gun, I think he's gonna be fine. Or no, Kendi pulls up with a Tommy gun, he's gonna be fine.
yeah, this is like Call of Duty survival map. This is a zombies map when you go there.
Oh no, a dozen beans with sharp sticks. Whatever shall I do?
And the final boss of this realm is known as the Slicer of Souls, aka Amit, where she is this maybe she's a Maelgen Incarna, but she's an Incarna of something, more likely violence, where she goes around and she kills you with her bladed weapons. And that's it, really. That's it. The name of the game of this realm is Murder.
And there is a gate to a place called Unpredictable.
That will take you to the Atrocity Realm.
Oh.
This realm is a gate to the Atrocity Realm. What's next? The Cave of the Life Forms. Cave of the Life of Forms. This is Realm 3. This is the Wild's domain. The Wild owns this place, and it is covered in eternal darkness. This realm is just eternally black. Now, there is sand here. There's like a hut village here. There's a river with reeds. There's these magic people. They're either humans that have been abducted by the Bubasti, or they're denizens of the realm itself that live in the huts. They're nice, but the people by the reeds in the river, don't approach them. They will kill you if you approach them. They just do it because that's who they are.
Yeah, it doesn't seem too bad.
The Bubasti will retreat here when their bases become compromised. You have a Bubasti queen here. She's a physical goddess because she's just that powerful of a magician. Her name is Ananka, where she's been alive for ever.
Well, yeah.
We have no set date with her, but she's been alive for a very, very long time. And she is she's the de facto leader of the Bubasti, more or less. And All of her enslaved Banes are here, where Banes that she's wrapped up with her magic and forced to serve her are stuck in this realm in the Eternal Darkness. You can light a flame here, but you notice that the shadows are weird. Sometimes the shadows will be cast by objects that aren't there, or your shadow will get up and leave your body and then run off further into the realm. Weird stuff like that will happen here.
I mean, it's the wild. I don't know what you expect.
And don't stay here for too long because you might go insane from the darkness. Okay, what's next?
Bravo 6
Realm
going
5.
dark.
Realm 5, Cavern of Sarkar. This is a cave. Makes sense, right? Where it looks like if you took the Mount Sinai and you took the mountain and you rolled it up into a tube. That's what the rocks look like here. Rocks that would be sedimentary are instead igneous in this realm, so to speak, if you like that geology shit.
Yes.
And you go on, this place is now under the control of the worm. The worm has taken over this place, and the Red Talons and Silver Fangs are doing everything in their power to reclaim it. In fact, the Silver Fangs have a very vested interest here. There is a powerful spirit allied with the Silver Fangs, Sokari, her lady in continuity, who lives here. She's this beautiful woman that has a hawk mask for a head, and her head is constantly on fire. The ashes, embers, and smoke will constantly come from her head from behind the mask. And did we talk about the children of Karnak when we talked about the Surfangs? I think we did.
I think we did briefly, yeah.
They're hawk warrior people that will live in the Umbra. This is where they come from, and they're trying to take their land back from the worm. So this entire region, this in of itself could be a chronicle.
I mean, I personally already like what's going on here. Like it seems super cool.
Now we've had a lot of violent realms lately. You want to have something peaceful? You want to go to Realm 6 Deepwater?
I see a gator head that depends on if the fucking
the Macaulay.
Yeah, the Macaulay are going to be nice.
The Macaulay do control this place. It is a massive ocean in the middle of Egypt. Boy, I'm sure the Egyptian people love to get their hands on that. Where you just step sideways and then you just free fall and fall into an ocean. And there's islands that are floating around in the water. The Macaulay live here. It is a portion of Pangea that the wild ripped off of Pangea and just threw into the material plane. Threw the material plane into the Umbra, and it landed here. That this is where that piece landed. Why did the wild do that? I don't know. You want to talk to the wild? You want to converse with the wild? Master of facts and logic, the wild?
Yes.
You go here, and this is like the retirement home for Macaulay. They go here when they're about to die, and if they want to get away, if they're being hunted, they need some place to retreat to, they'll go here. And it's peaceful. The Macaulay have been able to police their own land and prevent it from being invaded by the worm. So there is hope for the Macaulay, I guess.
Yes.
Even though they come off as an entire species of doomers where they've accepted that the apocalypse is going to happen. At least they have a place to relax before it happens.
Yeah, take a load off, chill, have a drink, eat something that's floating around in the water. You'll be good.
Yeah, you will be eaten by the Macaulay. You think that's a log you're going to step onto? No, that's a crocodile.
Yep, it's okay. I'm a Garrow.
Next up is the Cavern of Osiris, where the place we just mentioned. This is where this is the big damn battleground, where this used to be a port for the Ratkin, and now the Vujunka are breeding here, and everybody is sending men here. The Ratkin have a tense unity with the Surfangs in this area, where they're both going in with the Bubasti, the occasional Bubasti sorcerer volunteer, because the Vujunka are pouring out of this cavern en masse. If they get out of this cave, that could be the apocalypse. If that happens,
that'd be pretty fucked.
Yeah. So this is a massive battleground for the oncoming war with the apocalypse. You gotta stop these Banes and these worm people from getting out.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the lair of Shub-Niggurath from Quake, where it's just a bunch of shamblers walking around.
You just go there like this is where you go to level grind and prepare for the apocalypse.
Yeah, basically.
See, next up is the Realm 8 City of the God Sarcophagi, or the City of Silence, where this used to be a pretty place. This was a city of golden sands and jeweled towers, and it was pretty until a pep had something to say about it to establish that he was back in town and he was Consumption Worm 2.0. He came in and fucking destroyed the city. Great.
Yep.
And now the sand is gray and the buildings are just laying around in ruins. And that's it. Nobody has bothered to rebuild this place. Because the Pep is just going to show up and destroy it again.
Pep sounds like a bitch.
Of course, he's trying to join the Tyrannic Worm. Of course he's a bitch.
He's a pain in the ass is what he is.
He's fucking up there.
Everyone who works with the worm is mean. Why can't you be nice to me? I might want to worship the worm then.
But ask Werewolf 5th edition. They'll be happy to point you in the right direction.
Yeah, but I want to convince you that the worm is sympathetic.
Exactly.
But the worm is sympathetic, guys.
Any evil can be redeemed. I too watch Steven Universe.
He's just there being a average, good guy.
He's just there being the Satan. Don't worry about him. Next up is the City of Living Manifestations. Realm number 9 is this?
Yes.
Where it is a realm that is controlled by the Weaver. And it is the most boring industrial city ever made. The entire place is populated by geomids and pattern spiders that work constantly, and that's it. And the Weaver made this fake company, the Scarab Consortium, where they are like the literal Wojak NPCs in business suits that run this business. like the worm, like the Weaver needs help running a business.
Honestly.
You know what's going to happen, you're the Weaver.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're going to get droned and life's going to suck forever.
Yeah, don't go into this realm. You're going to hear the one song and you're going to become droned if you go in here.
I got my Bluetooth earbuds in, man. I'll be good.
And this place is run by one Faraun Capera, where it is not AI, but it is AI. It is a ceramic computer that's intelligent. It can think for itself, speak for itself. It's its own person. And it's essentially the Weaver's version of, I don't know, Allied Master Computer from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream.
That's terrifying to think of.
Yeah, this is your main antagonist once the worm is gone. So once you retake the Cavern of Osiris, you have to immediately get to this place before this Allied Master Computer gets his hands on the nukes.
Basically.
Very, very true.
There's also a theory that some cyberwolves, cyber dogs were retreated to this place after the random interrupts sold them out and purged the camp. So they might be living here as drones. I don't know. That's all speculation, right? All right. Realm 10. City of Deep Water and Steep Banks, where this is a realm that the Sunstriders own. The Sunstriders have something in Egypt. They don't regain Gnosis here, but they have this. Now, the realm itself doesn't give you the Gnosis, but there is a spirit here that does give it to you. Wepawet. It is kind of, sort of old Wolf of the Woods, Egyptian version, where there's this river that runs through here. It's modeled after the Nile River, where if you're a good person, if you're of Gaia, you step into this river, you sit in the river, you regain all of your health back and all of your Gnosis. If you're of the worm, you die instantly.
Oh, that's... Hey, yo. Gotta take a jar of that and bring it to another realm.
You just get some of that in your mouth and spit in somebody's face.
Yep.
Or put it in a water gun.
Yeah.
And you actually could do that.
That'd be really funny.
See, now this place is just a little bit fucky because after the Great Maelstrom happened, Banes are starting to invade this place and try to take it back. And it's your job as the Sunstriders to stop that from happening.
Well, yeah, it's the only foothold we have left in Egypt. You gotta fucking fight for it.
There is some hope for the Sunstriders that they can take Egypt back. This is the place to do it. Do not let it fall to the worm. This is your plot line for Ridge Cross Egypt here.
Yep.
So you have Wepawet who's here helping you out, but there's also Binder. That's his name.
That's okay.
He is this gigantic snake where he looks like the worm, but he's actually good. He's this giant black snake who will go around and eat people, or he'll bind them up and crush them to death.
Sounds like a nice guy.
We have a good snake. You can finally trust a snake for once. Realm 11, City of Corpse Counting, where it's a city in the Dark Umbra, and it's a part of Da'at, and that's all we're going to talk about this realm until we talk about Wraith the Oblivion. If I'm going to talk about this place, we actually have to talk about Da'at, and we have to talk about Wraith, and this video is not long enough, and I want to make separate Wraith videos at some point.
Yep.
All right, so Realm 12, the last one. Cavern at the End of Darkness. This is theorized to be heaven. This is the Garden of Eden after God kicked Adam and Eve out of it. That God tore out and placed in the Umbra. This is what this place is.
It's just beautiful all the time, and there is 2 rumored gates there.
Yeah. And how do you get here? You have to die. The only way you can get to this place is that you're dead.
How to become a fossil. Step 1, die.
And we have no idea what this place really looks like because nobody who has gone to this realm has ever come back. So there's supposed to be like 2 snakes that guard this place. He of the Dawn and the Enveloper, but we don't really know what they look like, and it's kind of a mystery as to what this place is. And that's your realms.
Could a vampire get in?
Yeah, well, he has to die first.
Yeah, but vampires don't have souls, so...
He has to die again. Well, unless you're the Giovanni, because the Giovanni can just make one. And you do have like a kind of sort of soul, because that's how Diablerie works.
That's fair.
But
it's a half soul, half not.
Yeah, maybe Cappadocius can go here after Augustus Giovanni finally lets him go. And now we get to talk about the lore characters. You want to talk about lore characters?
Yes, we've got quite a few people floating around in Egypt because there's a lot of goddamn people there. So, first of all, I'd just like to say the Black Furies are unimaginably based. Basically,
I love them.
What's up?
I want to put my head between their legs.
But you say, tas my job, alright, that's only what Almoira. So, related verses. Anyway, so the Black Furies, like, as we said, Islam is the dominant religion of Egypt, and as you can tell, that probably wouldn't sit very well with the Black Furies, who are all about feminism and equality, especially since, Islam,
my religion decrees that you have no rights.
Basically, yeah. Let's put that's just to put it lightly. So, from that point, a lot of Black Furies have taken it upon themselves in the region to go through and sort of educate women in the region, and especially the sisters of who did I say it was? Oh wait, the Amazons of Diana were trying to teach the true writings of the Quran to Muslim women. And meanwhile, the freebooters can also make the occasional appearance there. Yassal, Voice of the Sands, is probably the main character here. She's a rank 5 Hamid Philodox. I'm not going to go in depth with her because there's a Bonar who I want to talk about even more. Now, we've mentioned in the past between Bone Juice and... I don't remember her name. She was in the Rage Across Russia book. It was the kindly old woman.
Yes.
The Bonars have gone completely fucking...
people.
What's up?
That they eat people.
Yes. The Bonars have a secret camp in Egypt known as the Man-Eaters. There was a plague in 1998 that, sort of forced them into the foray as the primary tribe in Egypt from the Bonars. The plague carried, hot flashes and insatiable hunger for meat. It killed scores of Egypt's poor and nearly ran the entire length of the Nile before dying out or spread to other countries. Serious outbreaks was never reported because it stayed in the poorer regions. The CDC or the USAMRIID never really discovered, jackal fever and investigated it. But the Garo were resistant, if not fully immune to symptoms, and they felt its symptoms, including the craving for flesh. While few, if any, cases of cannibalism were reported among humans, the Garo weren't very lucky with it. A werewolf in the throes of the fever could still shapeshift, and worse yet, rage. Entire packs of Garo, mostly bone gnars, would roam the streets looking for prey. Most common were other victims who suffered from the disease, and eating flesh would only intensify the hunger even more. But with the Garo's generative powers curing the disease, they'd already become accustomed to their new source of food. And even the glasswalkers have started to get in on this. It says it would have been discovered by the glasswalkers if not for the intervention of the Eaters of the Dead, the Silent Striders, who would feast off of vampires and other shapeshifters, and we'll talk more about that later. But a lot of them have begun to suspect trouble, and, are too afraid to ask for any help with this for fear of bringing down retribution upon the entire tribe. So this brings up Meat Pudding, who I would like to talk about, and you see him here in this picture, which I'm gonna share with you guys.
The name is just a little sus, ain't it?
Yeah, a little bit. Well, no, the thing is, it's going to be in history pages. He originally got his deed name for his strength in combat. He would eviscerate the worm he would eviscerate for more with reckless abandon. Of course, he's a bone gnar metis. He's the pack alpha of the Hungry Streets pack. And he was a survival of jackal fever. He is positively hideous. He is terrible to look at and even worse to be around. He's covered in boils and pockmarks. He drools constantly, and he smells fucking awful. Like, his metis deformity is musk, but his pack wonders why he bothered learning odious aroma at all. So, like I said, he gained his name by, reducing from more to a paste, but it also grew to describe his new source of food. But he believes that the disease showed him how it should be, that Garo should stand above humans on the food chain. And he eventually managed to convince his pack. They came around. Now all he has to do is convert the other Garo to doing the same. And then maybe he can even challenge, the leeches as the dominant predator of the region. Meat Pudding was born to a pair of mated bone gnars who both died of the plague. He was glad to have a deformity that didn't hamper him all that much, since most bone gnars stink anyway. He plans on eventually leading the tribe, at the very least in Cairo. But the plague had sort of destroyed that. He survived by breaking the litany. Of course, the illness had destroyed his stamina and he left him rather weak, but he is still determined to lead Cairo's slums, one way or another. So he is well on his way to being immediately fucking corrupted.
Yeah, you got yourself a little interesting antagonist here.
You really do. I mean, he's just a detestable individual. Like, yeah, he survived, but at what cost?
This is what happens when you just can't take the pressure of being a member of your own clan.
Well, I don't even know if it's pressure being a member of his own clan. I think he was just desperation turned into just pure delusional madness.
You're so far down you can't see up anymore.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened to Meat Pudding. Moving on from that, Children of Gaia didn't really have like a whole lot of interesting things going on about them. You've got Exalted of Gaia. Fianna, they're there. It's most of the Fianna there are English. They were there during the English occupation of Egypt in the 19th century. Fianna try to be polite to the locals, but the native bone gnars don't like them. The Muslim Brotherhood had been pushing for guerrilla warfare against the British years before Black Saturday, and the Fianna were constantly targeted by them. The tribe remains a small presence in Cairo and Alexandria, but doesn't control anything. And of course, you've also, those who do remain fight the vampires and take their cues from Barry's the Dead, who we'll talk about later. So yeah, not really a whole lot to talk about with the Fianna. The Get Ephemeris, however, there is one I want to talk about with the Get Ephemeris. And they have a very tenuous relationship with the rest of the people there in Egypt because, they come as foreign mercenaries, but they really don't care about any of the actual fighting going on in Egypt. They just want to fight for the sake of fighting. They don't care that the Silent Striders are constantly trying to find a way to break Set's curse. They don't care about the bone gnawers that are struggling to survive in the aftermath of a deadly plague. They don't care about all of that. All they want to do is go there and fight shit because they know that the Ahaditi required Egyptian Garo, native or visitor, to go in there and, kill what the fuck they need to. They aren't looking to negotiate. They aren't looking to find out what the hell's going on. They just want to go in there and kill shit. But, however, there is one Get Ephemeris that's a little bit different than the rest of them, and that would be Heckles the Worm. He is a Metis Ragabash, not the strongest kid in the world, and that's part of the reason I wanted to talk about him. He's actually a clawless Metis. He is incapable of inflicting claw damage, and he runs at only 3/4 speed in Lupus or Hispa because he has no traction. He appears very wiry and weak, but he can hold his own in a fight, even if he doesn't have claws. He's Norwegian by birth. He can kind of speak a little bit of Arabic, but not very well. He was young, brash, and arrogant. He's still young, but he's gotten the arrogance beaten out of him. He was brought up believing that the Garo were supposed to be the dominant species, and it's best showed through force, but he can't quite do that as well as everybody else. He believed himself weak for a very long time, but then he found out that there are other ways to be strong, and he wonders just how many other Metis like him were passed up just because they were seen as weaker. He was born to a Get Ephemeris mother and an unknown father in Norway in a sept controlled by Silverfangs. Growing up on a glacier without claws, he needed to be resourceful and quick. The older Garo looked down on him, gave him a real quick wit, and after his rite of passage, he found himself being urged to leave the sept, but he didn't really have any other place to go. Although stories had found him that there was a Garo in America very much the same position as Heckles. This Get had made a name for him by trying to, unsuccessfully, however, atone for his ancestors' deeds in the War of Rage. He and the American Get, also known as Dane Praised Ephemeris, were actually distant cousins, and their family line had sired an embarrassing number of Metis over the years. He planned to go to America to meet Dane, but news of the Ahaditi beckoned him to the Middle East, and he's now in Luxor, technically under the protection of House Wiseheart, and is trying to find other Pharaoh to improve relations. He probably would make a very loyal ally, or an unwitting pawn, depending on the party. He's not strong, and he's a Get Ephemeris, which kind of goes against why the hell you would Get Ephemeris. But I like the fact that they're not afraid to show that, no, not all Get are going to be, these, brutish Nordic Vikings that kill everything they look at.
It's almost like that misconception about them being monocultural is a misconception.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, it's like you have black members of the Get Ephemeris, dog.
That's why I made Tommy Pfeiffer.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the Get Ephemeris don't give a fuck who you are. If you can fight, welcome to the club.
It's like being prideful about where you came from, but where you came from is not necessarily your identity and only your identity.
Yeah. It's like I can say God bless America, and I like being an American, but that's not all of who I am.
Yes.
People are way more complicated than that. But moving on from that is we have the Glasswalkers. And I gotta share this quote from this guy his name is an acronym, Figmo. The next ball of fur who calls me Ura gets his ass handed to him, and I don't give a donkey's balls what tribe he's from or how they've suffered. He is a Glasswalker Philodox, mind you. The Glasswalkers like to think that they're thriving in the Middle East. They've taken a keen interest in the place for hundreds of years, watched very eagerly as Arabic culture, gave rise advances to astronomy and medicine far beyond anything they'd seen in the West or in the East. When much of the tribe crossed the oceans and the plains, the Iron Riders, some of them went east, and they were shocked and intrigued by what they'd seen. Egypt had a very rich culture and cities that could serve as homes for the urban Garo, but those cities contained spirits that the werewolves had never seen. Scout banes like great serpents, city elementals who walk the streets and clothed in flesh, and ever-growing borders. There was a lot of potential for the Glasswalkers. But, when they became comfortable in the cities, they began to battle the inevitable worm taint. They learned everything they could. And they became very deeply entrenched in Egypt's industry and have been somewhat unsuccessfully battling leeches as they could in a Cold War with no victory in sight. Their promise to restrict human technology to human cities made so many years ago have been taken out of their hands. Humans spread their Weaver-Touch toys into the deserts and beyond, and, the Red Talons weren't a huge fan of that either. And they can't shake the feeling that they prosper in Egypt, that they exist in Egypt, because something is helping them. They're a little bit paranoid about that, but, they're trying to figure out why exactly that is. As far as it goes, they basically sort of just take it to the cities and, took over as much as they can of the industry. The Bonars don't really like them all that much because the Bonars there feel as if they're, native to them, where the Glasswalkers just sort of moved in and took over what they could. I wanted to talk a little bit about Figmo. Figmo is a Philodox who had his first change very late in life at age 19. He was on active duty in the U.S. Army. And then after his change, he went AWOL and is hiding in Al Fayoum. The reason I like him, his name is a military acronyms that means "fuck it, got my orders." He's an interesting character, but the one I really want to talk about is Layla Veil Shredder. She is the sept leader of the Sept of the Solar Bark. She's presumed to be a Metis, but it says she's actually a Hamid. She's a Ragabash. And honestly, a very powerful one at rank 5. But her Metis deformity is really weird. She's allergic to sunlight. Her skin and eyes are extremely sensitive. She suffers a +3 to all physical and social difficulties while in direct sunlight, as well as a -2 on rage rolls. She's a very athletic and well-kept woman. Jet black hair, keeps cut short, brown eyes, intense and wavering stare, and, always dresses very expensively, refuses to wear a dress. She hears a lot of rumors about her, and she doesn't care. She built herself from the ground up. And she was in a society where she was told as a woman that she was a second-class citizen and she would never succeed. But she fought and clawed her way to being the vice president of a multinational, or of a Middle Eastern branch of a major medical supplies company, which is quite a thorn in Magadan's side and has made all sorts of monkey wrenchers to fuck with their operations. Been very successful in combating the worm that way. It shocked pretty much everybody that she's gained so much power in the Arabic world. And even still, as a Metis, moving between human circles effortlessly. At the tribe's request, she joined a pack, assumed command, and still keeps her packmates close as consultants during her travels. After she attained the rank of Athro, she returned to Egypt and took a keen interest in her sept's leadership. When her sept leader died, she challenged for the post and won. And the sept's policies began to sort of grow more paranoid until they reached sort of xenophobic levels. She is very, very selective about who she lets into her cairn. But most Garo don't really know what to make of her. Among the paranoid glasswalkers, there is a rumor. Certain members have noted that she has weird sexual appetites. She's known for taking men to her bed quietly and exhausting them. She's also very rarely seen during the day, claiming that her job requires her to travel extensively, and at night she's very vivacious and refreshed. And she never speaks of her young life, ever. Some wonder if she's even a Metis or a Garrow at all. She just might be an abomination.
Given how closely the Colossus workers have ties with the Giovanni, might just be.
It's entirely possible.
And the Giovanni are known for some fucking.
Oh, definitely.
So I don't know. Maybe you met Enzo Giovanni's sister, and then this happened to you.
Yes. There's actually, I talked about 3 so far. There's 2 more I want to talk about. First, I want to talk about the Red Talons and where they stand. And this quote sums up the Red Talons' very, very precarious position in Egypt. I'd say precarious. It should be dire in Egypt. We have guarded these sands for many moonrises. The silent striders fled before the might of the curse, and we all laughed at them, for we did not understand what it meant to be hunted. We understand this now. A quote from Bloody Eyes, who is a Red Talon Philodox. The Red Talons have never wavered in the defense of their kin and have kept the leeches out of their protectorate for centuries. They share the plight of their brethren all over the world and retain much of their pride and power, as they believe it's their ancestors' wishes. But they have lost tremendously in Egypt. More than 100 years ago, 2 Red Talons, both of which were Theurges, mated and produced a Metis cub, and for this the family was cast out of the tribe. They wandered the desert to try and find another cairn, but the Garrow were captured by Setites. They were kept, chained, tortured for sport in a temple, and eventually all 3 were murdered by the leeches. Had any other Theurge been present at the time of their exile, she might have been gifted with a sign from Gaia, a warning not to banish the family. Their line carried with it the strongest ancestral connection to the progenitor of a wolf in Garrow history, and they have never recovered from that. The sept of the Howling Sands is dying. The lifespans of the Garrow and kinfolk are shorter, mental decay sets in, the right masters are hard-pressed to perform their duties correctly, and the Red Talon's connection to their ancestors has grown steadily weaker. Some blame the fact that, some say that the Silent Strider's curse is bleeding into them and have banned Silent Striders from the cairn. Some slip into Hirano. Some have heard the stories of the banished pack and wonder what they took with them besides their deformed child. Some of them believe that it's the fact that they've started to mate with, I think, jackals in order to bolster their numbers, have also done so to reduce their connection to their ancestors. But, overall, the cairn is just slowly fading away. Left behind is the keeper of the land, and he's taken a meeting with the Get Ephemeris basks in Fafnir's breath, secretly trying to think up some way to save the cairn. So far, they haven't been able to do so, and that's why I would like to talk about Left Behind. He is a Lupus Theurge in the Sept of the Howling Sands. Only a rank 2. He's only a Fostern. He's a very scrawny, runtish brown wolf. More jackal than wolf, actually. In his hominid form, he's barely taller than 5 feet. He's rail thin. Crinus form is emaciated. He was, taken for granted, underestimated, and pushed about, and he was sick of it. If his human form wasn't so weak, he'd take to the cities and see how the Ura treat him. But, he allowed basks in Fafnir's breath into the bond of the cairn because he treated you like an equal. And one day, they're going to try and think of something to save this place. He was born the run to the litter, as I'd mentioned. He received his name by slipping down a steep slope and almost becoming a vulture's lunch before Bloody Eyes, his older and stronger cousin. And it came to no surprise that Bloody Eyes bred true, but Left Behind's first change was an amusing shock. Upon reaching the rank of Foster, Left Behind petitioned for his post at the Keeper of the Land, and they decided it was the least important job and gave it to him. And he and Bloody Eyes have a simmering rival that Left Behind knows he can't pursue. Bloody Eyes, for his part, would be shocked, but not necessarily unpleasantly, to discover his cousin so fervently trying to help the Cairn. Left Behind is such a tragic figure and such a tragic part of the Red Talon's history because of how much he wants to try, how much he wants to try and save what little of his people he has left. And he believes in himself. He has some hope that he's going to find it, despite the fact that he and Fafnir's Breath can't seem to figure out why the hell their Cairn is fading away like it is. But he's going to try because he knows that's all he can do. Nobody has ever looked him over. Nobody's given him a second glance or a second thought. He's been pushed about his whole life. But that's not going to stop him. And I think that's what makes Left Behind a very special character.
If only your entire tribe wasn't filled with degenerates.
I don't know about
maybe
that.
You could pull something out of this.
Maybe, just maybe, if he met Autumn Leaves, then maybe.
Leaves? Fucking stab me in the back for some white girl? Years of friendship down the drain.
Well, he doesn't know what happened to you.
Yeah.
You have not told him.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell him either. I ain't telling him about that shit.
It's one way or another, it's going to come out. But the Shadow Lords, mostly it's the judges of the judges of doom. Spend most of their time in Egypt. Usually in the Healing Dawn Cairn of Solace. Oh wait, no, that's the. Oh wait, never mind. I've read that wrong. They don't really have like a whole lot of places that they want to be. They have a very, very small presence. The only one there is Unfiddled Eye, who's a judge of doom. He's a diplomat of the Garo Nation. He just visits Egypt, really. There's not a whole lot about him. Silent Striders. I really need to talk about the Silent Striders. Like,
of course,
we've talked at length. We have to. This is their land. They have been fighting and fighting and fighting for it. But the most pressing thing about them is the fact that the Eaters of the Dead have seemed to found a way to sidestep Set's curse. By taking what the Lamb will not give them, they will devour the souls of their victims as well as their brains. Reportedly, by consuming the brain of a supernatural being or even a strong-willed human, the cannibal can accrue gnosis that the curse denies him. But the Striders begin to investigate. Thus far, the results have been kind of crazy. The culprits elude their pursuers in the cities of Cairo and Alexandria, aided by, some believe, the Babasi, who have much to gain by the knowledge of the skulls of the other night folk, and sometimes even the Ratkin. Some Garo refute these claims, stating that the scent left at devourings is, Garo, but not necessarily Silent Strider. So, the cities are dangerous, the deserts aren't that much better, there's very few unspoiled cairns that dot the Egyptian landscape. The Striders are loath to rest at any of them for fear of attracting Soul Drinker Banes to a holy place. The Banes also stalk the Umbra at night in the physical realm, searching for Silent Striders. Egypt is damn near inhospitable to the Silent Striders, but they do not give up. Among the dispossessed, new leaders have emerged within the tribe of New Hope. There's Walksworth Might, who's one of the founders of the Ahaditi, and who I'm going to talk about, even though it says in the book she's slightly less famous, but we're going to talk about her anyway, is Buries the Dead. Sadly, I can't show her picture because her tit's out in the book. Thank you, White Wolf. Very cool. You wanted to draw fucking werewolf tits, sure. She is a Hamadar of the Silent Striders. Her mission is plain and simple. Kill the leeches. She shows ferocity and tenacity. She refuses to be bribed or drawn into their political machinations. She will show no mercy. She, if I remember reading that correctly, was a rank 5, a rank 4. She is powerful. She has Damn the Heart Flood. She kills leeches like nothing.
She's been talking to Cobra.
What's up?
She's been talking to Cobra. That's who teaches that.
Yes. She always has a cane or a walking stick, which she actually uses Gnosis to shift it into a weapon whenever she needs to. She is, a bruised and battered and scarred individual, but she will always crack a smile. She has suffered everything that there is to suffer. She has been, she's been clawed, bruised, battered, maimed, her friends killed, her kinfolk killed, her contacts killed, multiple attempts on her life, and she just doesn't care. She knows that, every day there's more and more vampires, but they're scared. That's the only reason there's so many of them. She knows that the progress is slow, but she knows she's getting somewhere, and she cannot lose hope. She was born in Cairo. Her first change led to the death of 3 vampires and several peace officers there in their vicinity that had been taken by the vampires. Since then, she's traveled the world, been all over, just killing every vampire she can see. But then she realized, after learning about Set's curse, that the place that she can help the most is if she concentrates on Egypt. She has made it her mission to kill every single vampire that walks around the city, that walks around Egypt.
That's going to take a while.
Yeah, it is. But honestly, if there's anybody who can do it.
You want to call Grim in for that? You want to get Grim on that?
Once he gets done cleaning up Romania.
Yeah. Well, that's where Saul's hanging out. You're going to have a long time. I don't think either of these characters are ever going to meet.
No, probably not.
I mean, oh, no, there's Ryan.
Sorry.
It's all good.
Here it is. We're losing him. We got to talk about the Ashura now to wake him up. That's all I had to say about that character, right?
Yes. They mentioned a couple of other characters, but I honestly didn't find them nearly as interesting.
This is where we would put a Wendigo character if we had one.
Yeah, basically. That was the end. I'll pull up that page and show it's like, accept my apologies and my pity, cousin, but not my aid. We are needed in our own lands.
Well, I'm just going to dip.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about the Ashura or the Ahaditi first?
Oh, wait.
I'll leave it up to you.
I think the Ahaditi, because I've mentioned it a couple of times.
Okay, we're going to talk about the Ahaditi because this is the only video we're going to really have the opportunity to talk about the Ahaditi in.
Yes.
Okay. We'll just have this picture up while we talk about them just to differentiate. Behold, an Nemean lion. Now, the Ahaditi, there's a lot of changing breeds that are listed with this, but when you look past the fluff text, this is made up of 5 different groups. It is the Ajaba, majority of the Bastet that live around this live around this area. It's not every Bastet because you're not going to get Pumunka in this area. The Korax, the Garu, and strangely enough, the Rokea are part of this group. It's 5 changing breeds. You have the Ratkin mentioned, but the Ratkin looked at the Ahaditi and said this is gay, and then they just didn't join. Because the Ratkin just rather do things their own way. And what the Ahaditi are. Talking about the World of Darkness lore, there was a Simba character in here called Blacktooth, who definitely wasn't inspired by the movie Lion King. He definitely isn't Scar from the Lion King.
Yeah. No.
And he said, I think hyenas suck and I want to kill them all. For a while, the Simba ruled Africa by themselves. You had the Liban, who of course controlled all the vampires, but the Simba were the Silver Fangs of the region. They pushed the Silver Fangs out as a sign of just how strong they were. Now, Grim it's a coin toss as to who would win a fight between Grim and any member of the Simba, because the Simba are just that fucking strong. And if you were put them against a Khan, a tiger, absolutely not. Grim's going to lose that fight.
Debatable.
Even if you used Mouth of Thor, it wouldn't be enough against a Khan.
It's fine.
But the man's saying it's fine. No, it's not fine.
It's fine. Don't even worry about it.
Yes.
No, bro. He'll find a way. Don't you worry.
But Blightooth comes out and says, "I'm going to genocide the Ahadi, and there's nothing you can do to stop me." And everyone looks around and goes, "What the fuck? You're doing the War of Rage Part 3." And every member of the Changing Breeds finally stopped bickering in Africa, all banded together, almost killed the Simba as a whole, but then realized it was Blacktooth and Blacktooth alone who was doing this, and killed him. And in his death, saved the Ajaba from extinction. Do you want to know how many Ajaba there were? We weren't given a definite number before the war started, but now there's only 60 as of 2001.
Jesus.
There's only 60 were-hyenas. And you have a queen Ajaba. That's not her actual name, but she's in a weird position because she's thinking to herself, for years and years, the Ajaba had no authority whatsoever. Now I've just been given authority. Authority's just been dropped into my lap, and I'm not entirely sure what to do with it. And the Bastet that sympathized with the Ajaba said, "Here, let's help you out with that." And so they banded together and formed the Ahadi. And the Koraks are everywhere, and the Koraks joined in. The Makole, yeah, they'll support the Ahadi, but they're not really members, so to speak. They're more invested in Asia with the Henge Yokai. And to my surprise, the Rokia are active members in it.
Really?
A group of the Betweeners of the Rokia have gone onto the land. And of course, they need to go back into the ocean and maintain their powers, but they will actively help out the Ahadi's missions in Africa. In North Africa. They directly participate in battles that take place in Egypt because they'll hang out in the Mediterranean and the Red Sea, and they'll just come out of both of those and attack Indra when they start drilling oil in the sea.
Nice.
Along with attacking ships that have worm cargo on it.
I'm gonna be honest, that sounds kind of fucking sick.
And the only sane members of the Red Talons help these guys out, the Kusha and Kudu. The wolves who bred with the African painted dogs, and now they are African painted dogs. And that's what you have as a faction there. And there's not that much different between them and the Beast Courts. It's the Beast Courts, but they're in Africa, essentially. Where you're going around, you're fighting Pentex in Africa because somebody needs to band together and kick Pentex out. And as of recent events, it looks like the Ashira have done that job for you. You got French corporations losing their shit because they just got kicked out of West Africa. With the rise of Islamic groups like Boko Haram coming in, and then you have the country of Niger having 4 different coups in 1 year, and crazy shit like that. We're just, I'm astonished that we're not hearing more news about West Africa, because you got a lot of unrest in that country.
I mean, yeah, but none of it directly impacts how much money we've got, so they don't report on it.
Yeah, I was looking at that and saying the only reason Ukraine's getting reported on so much is because the people there are white fighting. I thought that was bullshit first until I looked at West Africa and saying, yeah, you're only getting attention because you're a white country.
Well, no, they're getting attention because, well, Hunter Biden's made a whole fuckload of deals there prior to the invasion of Russia.
There's a lot of American money invested in that.
And well, yeah, that and Russia's a fucking Russia's been, the spiritual foe of the U.S. since the Cold War, and are the fucking idiot boomer warmongers that forgot the Cold War stopped. You had
Lindsey Graham come up on stage and said more Russians are dying today than ever. It's the best money we've ever spent.
You're Lindsey Graham, not love what
I want to kill people and get paid for it.
I want to kill. I want to see gore in my teeth and blood in my eyes. I want to see burnt dead bodies. It's been a while since we've done Alice's Restaurant.
It's been a while since we talked about Alice's Restaurant. Okay, let's talk about the Ashira now. Boom, there's the Ashira.
Yes.
You get details on these guys in Cairo by Night. If you want to know about Cairo by Night, the book itself, the lore, we've already gone over it in Ridge Cross Egypt. The lore, it's essentially going to be the same, but from a vampire point of view. It's not essential reading, but the lore characters in it are really interesting. The Ashira itself, I'll talk about it first. This is the Banu Hakim's baby. This is their answer to the Camarilla, where the Banu Hakim, the Bruja, the Lasombra of the region, and the Nosferatu all banded together under the banner of Islam and said, we are repentant of our own existence. We don't like being vampires. We repent being vampires. The only way we can cope with being a vampire is by being Muslims. And so you had the Ashura, and they are very successful at what they do. They are kind of like a Muslim mafia, where they go around all the way from Egypt to Afghanistan, and they keep every other vampire group out. The Camarilla, the Sabbath, the Anarchs, the Kuei Jin, they can't get into the Middle East because the Ashura is blocking them.
Honestly,
You
like
know
the
what?
Ashura seem fucking super powerful, especially
Yeah,
with that group of vampires all fighting in the same direction. That's insane.
given that 85% of the Assamites quit to become Banu Hakim, and this is the Banu Hakim technically. Every member of the Banu Hakim is a member of the Ashura. That's a lot of blood mages you're going up against.
Yeah, it is.
And
Have fun having your blood fucking drown you in the subatomic level. Good luck.
and fifth edition wanted to say that they dissolved and joined the Camarilla. That's fucking bullshit. No, keep them as their own faction. Keep as their own faction. The Ashura by themselves sound like an awesome idea.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great.
And instead of there being princes, they're called sultans. And it's the same terms, but with Arabian Nights themes over it.
I mean, yeah,
And
but with a better faction layout overall.
they
And
also
a
stole
unifying direction.
they also stole some stuff from the Sabbat. They stole the paths and the roads. You want to follow the road of the beast, the road of blood, the road of heaven, because they took those ideas from the Sabbat and then turned them into their own ideas for roads. And they have the road of humanity, but they call it the road of community. You just slap a new banner on it and call it your own.
Hey, bro, can I copy your homework? Yeah, but just change it a little bit so the teacher doesn't suspect anything.
There's also the road of paradox on here, which would eventually be adopted by the Ravnos, but they have the road of paradox before the Ravnos came and took it and made their own. So
Yeah, that's fair.
you got some interesting stuff with this. As for Cairo by Night, I wouldn't get this for the lore, but for the lore characters, there are some awesome characters in this book, dude. There's three of them I want to mention right off the bat. The first one being the Prince of Cairo, a Caitiff prince. Mukhtar Bey is his name. You want to see his picture?
Yes, actually.
See, now it's a little bit low resolution, but you gotta zoom in on this. See, here he is. This is his picture.
That looks kind of fucking tight.
That's triumphant right there. This is a Caitiff prince that earned his place in the Camarilla back when they controlled Cairo. After talking with a Ventru and proving his chops to a Ventru, pretty much like bargaining for his life to this guy. And he impressed the Ventru so much that he got turned into the prince's personal bodyguard for his eternal servitude. But when the Silverfangs invaded and killed the prince, he ran. And he was ashamed he was going to kill himself until all of the newly emancipated vampires came up and said, hold on a minute. Don't you realize what just happened? We're no longer controlled by the Camarilla. We can become our own thing, and we want you to be the prince. And he accepted, and through his leadership, he is competent enough because he's copying what the Ventru have been doing. And he's created an independent Cairo Egypt. No faction controls Cairo, dude, because of this dude.
That's kind of incredible, actually.
And he's negotiated this whole ceasefire pact with the Banu Hakim, where if the they stay out of Banu Hakim's way, they stay out of his way. And there you go. And this has become one of the few safe havens in the world for Caitiff, but it's also sign of the apocalypse. A Caitiff prince is one of the many signs that get hint is about to happen.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
It's the rise of the Thin Bloods. You're setting up the events of Wormwood.
Okay.
Yeah. And who else is here? Angelique, where she herself, the story isn't that impressive, but she's one of the few Cappadocians still in existence. Now, you thought all these guys died in Transylvania Nights? No, she survived. She hid. She was in torpor. Now she's back. And there's no way the Cappadocians are ever going to rebuild themselves, but she's here. You have a Cappadocian walking around.
Yes, indeed.
Who else is in here? One one of my favorite Tremere characters, Sylvia Kilver, who got her whole start at Hartford University, and through her good grades caught the attention of the Tremere, who brought her over to Vienna, trained her as a ghoul, embraced her, and then sent her over to Cairo in order to help with Camarilla affairs. And part of the reason why the Camarilla would eventually collapse is because she was in bed with the Setites. She was openly colluding with the Setites and formed a new path of thaumaturgy with the Setites.
Well, I mean, yeah. What the hell did you think was going to happen?
And then we got Winthrop Murray, this Sigma male dude. This character, we finally get an elaboration as to what the fuck is going on with the Arcanum in this book. You know the Arcanum, that interesting faction that never gets expanded on in anything? It gets expanded on in Cairo by Night, where we get to learn about the members of the Arcanum. And this guy in particular, here he is. Here's what Winthrop looks like. Where this dude hoarded occult knowledge from the Egyptians, learned about mummies, killed himself, and then using magic brought himself back to life as a mummy. This dude's going to live forever now.
That's kind of fucking incredible that he did it. It does remind me of pre-book Korax when they specifically say it is very, very rare that you'll run into one. But when you do, try to get close to him and learn as much as you can, because if one of these guys is walking around, then something big's gonna go down.
He's been around since the 1800s, and he's hoarded like all these magic artifacts and all these spells. If anyone has the Ark of the Covenant, it's this dude. He has it.
This smartly dressed individual, he's like, oh yeah, well, you just go to these coordinates right here, and then there you are, Ark of the Covenant.
It's like what was it? That Fallout 4 quest where you meet Lorenzo, the guy that put the alien artifact on his head that turned his blood into Vitae, and he lived forever. He's got all these psychic powers, and his family kept alive by feeding on his blood. That's this dude. Where imagine all like the psychic, the stuff he's hoarded as an Arcana member, and the raw amount of magical power this dude is going to have. You want to get in a fight with this dude? You reduce his hit points to 0. He gets right back up, and the fight starts all over again.
Yeah, I rather just talk to him and go, hey man, like, what do we got to do to keep the world from ending?
Any of your stuff for sale?
I mean, I don't care about that as much. Like, this guy's been around since the 1800s. I'm sure he knows a couple of ways the world can end.
And he's not on board with the Arcanum either, because the Arcanum is hoarding all this stuff to keep it out of mundane people's hands. This dude joined the Arcanum just so he could get that power. he says he was saying fuck humanity, fuck the greater good. I want the advanced life extension, and he got it. And there we have it. That's Ridge Cross Egypt for you.
Yep, this is a crazy fucking spot, and like, yeah, we complain that we talked about it a lot. I'm gonna be honest. I know you said that this is that you weren't a fan of this book, but after listening to it, it sounds like a really interesting setting.
There's interesting ideas in this. The writing of the book could be better.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Writing it could have been better.
Yeah, but it could have used another. It could have used some edits, but
yeah.
When Werewolf makes a book that's bad, it's either like passable where you can get stuff out of it, but it's ultimately worth a skip, or it's horrendously terrible like Rage in the Streets.
I don't even know. Do I even want to know what that is?
That's a Quay Jin book.
Oh.
And you thought it was going to be something explaining the Quay Jin as a culture. No, it's just you want to make a John Woo movie of the book. That's what it is.
I mean, look, Hard Boiled is the pinnacle of human achievement, so...
Well, of course, nothing's going to be worse than Shadow Lords Revised. That's still the worst book in the World of Darkness. Yeah. I'm saying it's even worse than World of Darkness Gypsies, because World of Darkness Gypsies is just weird. It's just a weird book. It doesn't spit in the face of pre-established lore and ideas like Shadow Lords Revised does.
Yeah. I mean, look, if it has Revised in the title, I don't trust it.
His first edition, everybody wants to say, oh, you gotta read Revised when it comes to this lore. I'm saying, no, first edition had a plan. There was a structure with first edition. It was going somewhere. And
even though you and I both think that the whole death of the Camisades thing is bullshit.
Yeah, that was stupid plot line. I hate that so much.
It's
You
like, oh,
added in the
hey, here's these
Camazon.
guys. They're probably gangrel. We should kill them all. Oh, wait, no, they belong to Bat. They were actually
They,
werewolves.
they were nowhere in first edition. They get ham-fist shoved into revised, and it's this sloppily written plot point that has no
I
thought in
don't
it.
mean to toot our own horn, but I like your plan. I liked your plan for it, where like they came over with the Spanish conquistadors, saw the Octana, holding Banes, and then just killed them.
Yeah, along with 3.5 where the Camazons were evil from the get-go.
Yep.
And there it is. Do we have any ideas as to Rage Across Egypt? Ryan, you got an idea?
As in playing it or playing a character?
Like either one, actually.
I was going through a line where you play a silver
Silverfang?
Silver Strider?
Silent Strider.
We combine the two tribes together.
There
Could be
you
a
go.
menace.
A Silent Strider where you just go around and destroying coteries and eating their brains.
Mm-hmm. There it is. You get the bone saw, cut a man's head up, and then eat the brain and gain the Eldritch Knowledge.
Bone saw is ready. That'd actually be really funny now that I'm thinking about it. You have a Silent Strider, Eater of Flesh, and then you just have a Street Hound Bone Gnawer here. And they're both just like conferring arts and crafts in the preparation of human flesh.
Yeah, I get the brain, you get everything else.
He co-owns a restaurant. You know how they back in the day, they don't anymore, but they used to crack open monkey skulls and eat the brains raw.
Yeah, Indiana Jones scene.
It was. It's not anymore.
Yeah, considering you get a brain-eating disease from doing that.
Yeah, it's just the same thing, but with vampires.
Yeah.
I like the
You want to go down to the street market and get a flesh-eating bacteria?
No. I mean, see, the idea I was discussing earlier in the video was that, like, because of... It was mostly because of... I forgot his fucking acronym.
Think!
Fuck it, got my orders.
Think!
Fogum. I think, yeah. Figum. Or
Got it.
Goodness gracious, I'm fucking that up.
You got it's
Figmo,
the thought is in there. You got to think about it.
I like the idea of like an AWOL squad of soldiers having to go to Egypt after they have their first change, and it becomes like Sergeant. It was Sergeant something.
Sergeant Pepper.
No, hang on. You know what? I'm pulling up Get First Edition. This is bothering me. I have Get First Edition. I need to know what it was because that comic goes hard. Let me see. Get Ephemeris First Edition.
This man's going to shout this name and the minute he finds it out.
Sergeant Rage. Yeah.
There it is.
I would love to have just like a Sergeant Rage campaign in Egypt with just like a generation kill Jarhead kind of vibe to it. That's just me. And we're just like running through and just doing a killing spree on every leech you find. But I do like Ryan's idea a little bit better, where it's like the two cannibal friends, like a Sweeney Todd in Egypt story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, my brain is going off in the complete opposite direction because I'm not thinking of anything violent.
Really?
Changing to dreaming.
Really?
Yeah. You want to have an issue-based game?
Oh, dude. I fucking love the issue.
Because even though the issue got their start in Nigeria, they've become the Arabian Nights fairy. Because a lot of their artwork in their Kith book is Arabian Nights themed.
I really love the idea of playing an issue. I don't remember what name I came up with him. I think I called him Salim. But I would love to play an issue. And
you could do something like Bridge Coast Appalachia, where you can do a joint werewolf and changeling game. And you have an entire like Aladdin-based game. We're trying to find the Cave of Wonders in the Umbra.
And show you the way.
That'd be kind of neat.
You have a lot of fun with this because Sonic and the Secret Rings is a game that fucking sucks, but I really like the environments and set design in it.
Me and my buddy were playing that, and he was livid at that. I'm going to be honest, though. Sonic and the Secret Rings was a much better game than Sonic and the Black Knight.
Yeah, I'm saying that's a lukewarm take. I did like Black Knight a little bit more.
I
don't know. Maybe it's just because I like medieval shit.
I do
I haven't
too.
played either.
I do too, but the fucking swordplay in the Black Knight is so fucking jarring. It's just a pain in the ass.
You just shake the Wiimote up and down and you win.
That is not true, goddammit. I played that fucking game. It is bullshit. Sorry. Bit off topic, but yeah, so yeah, Egypt.
Also, like Prince of Persia too. Those games.
Actually, that's an excellent point. Like, if you wanted to do like a Werewolf Dark Ages game in Egypt, you could make it Prince of Persia.
Yeah.
Or, I think the Assassin's Creed game that had set in the Middle East wasn't that bad either.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey? Or
yeah,
no, that was Greece. Assassin's Creed Origins.
Yeah. I loved that game.
I didn't play it myself.
I think that's like the last good Assassin's Creed game, and now we're just going to get nothing but shit.
Yep.
I enjoyed one, I enjoyed two, and then everything else was, I'm not going to say garbage, but everything else was bad, and then Origins came out.
What's really funny is that my sister 100%ed both Brotherhood and Revelations.
Mm-hmm. And now they're being sued by the Japanese government over Black Samurai.
Are they actually?
Yes.
That's really funny.
All right.
Okay.
I think that's it. I think we've run out of content.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Play Egypt and think of a fun story to do with it.
Yeah, join us next week when we talk about the book that nobody has read, Vancouver Dark Alliance.
All right. Good night, everybody.
We get to go Rich Cross Canada.
Good night.
Yeah. Good night.